What did you say?
They want a Wanga.
I would certainly like to.
They want a Wanga.
Oh, I don't think so. What did you say?
He's yelling. He's holding me back.
They want a Wanga.
What did you say?
They want a
What did you say?
They want a Wanga.
I would certainly like to.
They want a Wanga. They want a Wanga. 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 No Wanga. They want a Wanga. They want Wanga. They want a Wanga. No Wanga. They want a Wanga. They want Wanga.
I want more,
Wanga.
and I know I shouldn't, and I know I shouldn't. I want more,
Wanga.
and I know I shouldn't, and I know I shouldn't. I want more,
Wanga.
and I know I shouldn't, and I know I should. More,
Wanga.
more,
Wanga.
more.
Ha! I didn't realise that I'd swapped the video over. Hey guys, hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to another episode of The Wanga. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope you have all had a great couple of weeks since we were last on here doing this. Joining me as ever to talk about all things Star Wars Shatterpoint is, of course, Mr. Ron Walker, aka Obi-Ron, and Mace Quindu. Ron, put your frame brush down, we're live. Oh, dearie me. Guys, how we doing?
Building Grievous, it's a nightmare.
Yes, so the long-awaited Grievous has come out. We found out what happened in the end, didn't we? Somebody
Bases.
forgot to put bases in.
Well,
And they fixed it by gluing them to the back of the box.
they included bases. They just didn't include enough. So they only included 2 of the 60 mils, are there?
50.
50 mils, only 2 50 mils, and obviously you need 3. So
You need 3 because Grievous comes on a big one, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah, it's... I gather... I mean, what's the other ones? I suppose it's the B ones with... And I think in the core box, the B1, the 50 mil ones...
But the
55,
50
whatever
mils
they
come
are.
as a set of 2.
They come as a set of 2, didn't they? Yeah, so I
yeah,
gather
they still
that's,
do.
I gather
How
that's
many
why.
40 mils do you get in there?
4.
4. Okay.
And you only need 1.
It's a way to get some spare bases, finally. The one problem we never had with MCP.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
They're being like real stingy now, like... They've gone the other way.
We used to have, like, I mean, I think I've got it here, Quid. Like, this is my box of MCP bases.
Yep, I've got
that are
a bag
left
full as
over.
well.
Like, and they do come in handy for some things, like every now and then, but...
I think the
Yeah.
reason why MCP seems so saturated with bases is because you pretty much every pack you bought, you were getting double the amount of bases you needed.
Yeah.
Because you were getting 235s for your actual characters, and then another 2 that were on the sprue.
Yeah. Well, they've replaced bases with character cards, haven't they, in this game for all the extras that you get?
Oh yeah, I really need like 7 order cards for Luminara.
So, I get to some extent the
I get having all the different
languages, but do you need order cards? Like...
Well, yeah, of course. You can't tell that's Luminara if it's not the French Luminara.
The French
She looks
Luminara.
completely different, completely different. She's got
Is
a baguette,
it a
and, like,
baguette,
wing
is
of
it a
onions around
baguette
her
and
neck.
some garlic over the side? Yeah. It's fine, nobody French watches this. But yeah, had a pretty good couple of weeks of Shatterpoint. I know we've all managed to get some games in. I know I have, Ron, I know you have as well. Managed to get quite a few games in with the talking point of today's show, which is all things Dathomirian. Obviously now with the release or the reveal of Savage Opress yesterday, I would say, feel like a pretty fully rounded. I mean, what are we calling them? Like, are they factions? Are they? Because there isn't sort of an official term for it, is there? In terms of like the various things that we get in the game. I mean,
why do you always make it about race, Ron?
I know, right? I mean, they are a race, aren't they?
Yeah,
but
like I don't know, like
factions feels about right.
Faction is what I'd go for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, Dathomirian faction. They're pretty rounded. We know what they're about, and yeah, I mean, as we'll get into, they do like murdering things. Quite well a lot of the time. Mr. Dr. David Cameron, hope you are well, sir. Swedish troll. By the way, David, for anyone that didn't know, congratulations. Ron, you guys had your first event at Sanctuary last weekend, I want to say it was now, Ron.
Yeah.
And do you want to tell us what happened against Quinn round 1?
I gave Quinn the win.
uh-huh. So generous of you, Ron. So
I
generous.
had Dooku and B1s left, and if I would have gone with the B1s, I just would have won the game. And I didn't. I went with Dooku.
The thing is, there were 2 cards left in your deck. One of them was Django, who was dead. So I think that definitely messed with the perception of things.
And then Quinn let me down and went and lost to Mr. Cameron.
I know. So yeah, well done, David Cameron.
In 4 activations. What more do you want from me?
To win the second one.
Oh, right. Is that where I went wrong?
3.
Yeah, in 3. Yes, in 3. Phil, hope you well. Dave Fogel, hope you well. Eric, good evening. 2 days in a row, I am a lucky fella. You are a lucky fella. There you go. Daz, hope you well, buddy. Elf Dude can't get enough shatter point. Just finished painting my measurement tools. I've never painted a set of measurement tools. I don't know if you guys have.
No, I haven't.
I haven't. Like, feel like once you're done with them, you're gonna have to put a lot of layers of varnish on that.
Yeah. Or maybe that's the trick, right? You just keep building up the layers of varnish to get that edge, right? This is some Danger Room shit going on here, right? You do. I'm joking.
He's really not, but sure.
But yeah, it's not one I've ever done. I mean, I struggle to get all my models painted. Because I get sidetracked with building scratch-built Dathomirian boards and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, Dathomir. Let's start off then, guys, and let's talk about, I suppose, the second primary for Dathomir. Because obviously, remember that Lord Maul.
You mean the third?
You've got Ventress, Mother Maul.
Of course, Ventress as well, yeah.
Wow,
do you know,
just completely forgets Ventress exists.
Do you know, I didn't even think about Ventress. It completely went out my mind. But, okay, let's talk about the real leader of the Dathomirians, okay. Mother Talzin. She brings 8 squad points, obviously primary unit. She has her tactic ability. And she brings 3 force with her as well. Did you guys expect more force on her? Because yes. I did.
I expected 4.
Yeah, we expected 4 for 7 cost, but no.
Yeah, I would have liked that, and the reason why is because right now they've got 8 leaders, and luckily enough they're all 4s across the board, but it doesn't give you, as in all the Dathomirians. No, sorry, they've got 3 leaders, but they're all 8.
Yeah.
I'd have liked there to be a little bit of sort of mix-up of it, but it's fine. It is
also,
what it is.
You might want to close your window, Rich.
Oh, can you hear it?
It's really coming through now. Like,
I asked you the question earlier. Like,
it wasn't doing it earlier.
It wasn't doing it.
Now you've got like 10 lorries going down the road.
So, yeah, I'd have liked to have seen that, but she's perfectly fine bringing 8 with her. So Mother Talzin, so her tactic is obscuring shadows. At the start of this unit's activation, choose another allied Dathomirian unit. 1 character in the chosen unit may dash. She has no way of moving herself, does she? Which I think, whilst by the way, as a caveat, I absolutely love this leader. or this primary, sorry, she's quickly becoming my favourite. I think that is one of the things she does struggle with a little bit, is her lack of movement. Ron, I don't know if you agree. I'd have liked to have seen more of a Dooku type thing with this one, where she could move herself as well.
Yeah, 100%. After seeing Savage yesterday, I can understand why they haven't done it, because then it's just a carbon copy of what you would do with Dooku and Savage. So I can see why they've took this route, but yeah, unless all your characters are dying constantly, she is very slow.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So her first active ability then, Manipulating Hand. Indeed, her only active ability. Costs 2 force. Choose an enemy character within 4. The chosen character dashes. You resolve this move. Quinn, you've played against... Have you played with Mother Talzin yet? Or have you
I've
just
not really,
mainly played against
I don't think
her?
I've played a game with her yet, to be fair. Also, how high is your weird ceiling fan thing on? Because I think that's now coming through as well. But yeah, like, manipulating hand is not something I've seen used overly much. Like, I've probably played, 5 or 6 games against Talzin now. Probably had it used against me once or twice. And that's, like, across all of those games. Like, it's a strong ability. It's a high cost. You can get it off of one of the combat trees, but it's the combat tree you want to be in least. Situationally, it can be really powerful. Means that she can potentially, cap 3 points in, a single activation by going, kill someone, which frees up one that you've already got someone on, move on to one herself, move someone off another one to then give you the edge. Like, it can lead to big swing turns. It's just it's a lot of investment.
Yeah, I think that's quickly becoming my sort of thought process with abilities that cost 2. It's in some cases it could be a third, right? It can be at the very least it's a quarter of all of your force to spend this turn. Obviously you can refresh it and things like that potentially, but and I think unless it's going to guarantee that you get to do something, if it's the thing that you need to do to win the struggle, or it ends up being it's something that maybe takes you from scoring enough VPs to end on 0 and give your opponent a momentum as well, that could be something. But it feels like it's not just something you do, right? There has to be it needs to have a bigger impact than what a normal 1-cost active ability does, I think, is my sort of take on it. There's some nice synergy as well that we'll talk about with list that me and Ron have been running on there as well, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Her only reactive ability is Life Drawing. After an allied Dathomirian character makes an attack, if the defender suffered 1 or more wounds, 1 or more damage, get my terminology correct, this unit may use this ability. That allied Dathomirian character may heal. This can be really nice just to get rid of conditions, and obviously works really nice with Maul when he's taken that damage. So you sort of get some back off him. It is reactive, so when she goes down, paying 1 force for it feels quite bad. But Ron, what's your thoughts on this and how it works?
I hate the fact that it's reactive. After you wound Mother Talzin once, I don't think you ever use Life Drain again.
Yeah.
1 force for a recover is just not worth it.
Completely agree.
It should have been innate. It should have been built in.
Yeah, I think that is one thing that... I think this is something that could get looked at, especially with her lack of movement. At least this is a global ability that she has. And I would have preferred to have seen that being an innate ability.
Because, there's a lot of stipulations. You've got to be Dathomirian. You've got to have done damage.
Yeah.
And then you've got to pay a force. If she's injured, it's a lot. Whereas, like Luminara, for example, or Ahsoka, someone goes down, all 3 recovers. So an advance and then 3 recovers. It's just, I don't know. I think it's very expensive for what it is.
It is interesting that it's one of the few reactive abilities I've seen where it is just an attack. It's not an attack as part of a combat action. So that can be nice. But I'd even lose that part and make it innate. So it's, it was attacks off a combat action and make it innate rather than that. I suppose it goes to innate and then it becomes every attack. So, sorry, every combat attack. So the Night Sisters, for example, which are the only ones that can do it at the moment, they would potentially be able to heal twice. Because obviously, if it's innate, you can use it multiple times. If it's reactive, you can only use it once. But I'd take a couple of things taken away from this. Make it once per turn, make it combat action only, but keep it innate. I think that would be a lot nicer.
It feels quite similar to the whole Mandalorian's Strongest Together, where that feels like it should have been an 8 because making that suddenly cost force, oh boy, does that hurt.
Yeah, it really does. Glyn, hey Rich, Ron, so nice of you to collab with Quinn.
Thank you for having me on your channel, sir.
Thank you, Master. Thank you. Yeah, so I don't get me wrong. When she's healthy and you're using it, it's really nice. But yeah, it could have been a little bit nicer, I think. And maybe that is one of the things that she could have been 7, right, rather than 8. So we'll see. And then her identity, obviously, the thing that sort of brings it all together is Wrath of the Great Mother. Once per turn, when an enemy character wounds another allied unit, after the effect is resolved, one character in this unit may dash and then make a 5 dice ranged attack targeting that character. So a couple of stipulations. It doesn't work on herself, but it does work on any other allied unit, which I really like, because it means that if you take down the Super Commando, she gets to throw in 5 dice. You take down Opress, it's exactly the same. And 5 dice on Mother Talzin, as we'll see, is most definitely not to be sniffed at with the combat tree that she's got. But it does have to be a ranged attack. So if she is engaged, yes, she gets the dash, so she can move out. But if she's still engaged at the end of that dash, then she isn't going to be able to make that attack. Ron, what's your thoughts on this one as an identity and how it works?
It's okay. I don't really feel like it's very Mother Talzin. I would prefer Life Drain to be her identity and Wrath of the Great Mother be reactive that costs 1 force. I think that would make her feel a lot more how she should be. Most of the time, it's very rare you actually get the attack off. It's just you get a dash because you have to target the enemy character that inflicted the wound, which is, I can understand why they've done that, but also I think it isn't that good.
Yeah.
If you can get it, sure, it's great, but 9 times out of 10, it's just not happening.
It feels like of the identities currently in the game, it's probably one of, if not the most situational.
Yes,
sure.
Very much so. Very much so. Because there's times where you might not want to dash, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just might not want to do it. And then you've got other times where it's the other side of the board, so yeah, you get your dash, but you don't get anything else.
It's also the fact, it has to be a ranged attack, right? Like, if
have
you're
to be a
currently
ranged attack.
engaged with the person that killed the character, and that's who you have to attack, you're going to walk away from them and then go Blair?
Yeah, it's really weird.
I do like your comment there, Ron, on Life Drain. I think they could have removed the Dathomirian tag on Life Drain, and then that becomes her leadership. Sorry, her identity. And I think that becomes really good, right? And then keep the Wrath of the Great Mother, but
Just make it cost a force.
It just costs a force, right? And then you get to choose, right? the times where it because 1 force to make a dash and a 5 dice attack is definitely worth it.
Well, it's tactical network.
If you can, if you can actually be in the right position. So, yeah, I'd not thought of it that way around, Ron. But yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. Quinn, anything else to add?
I don't know. Just as Ron said, it doesn't feel very Mother Talzin-y. Like, no.
It feels
Watch
like
an MG, give me a job, making rules.
There we go. They're not. Ron.
No.
They probably are because they're putting together their black book of libel that they're just gonna slap down on our desk one day. But there we go. Apparently, I'm not going to say that because I don't actually think that of them. And then 10 stamina and 3 durability, which for an 8 cost. I don't know if she's got 8 cost, but it feels about right. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let's take a look then at her 2 or her single stance card, but obviously double-sided. First one is Great Mother. She is going to have a ranged attack on both. They're both going to be range 4. This one is going to be 7 ranged attack, 6 melee attack, and then, this is one of the things I love her for, 7 defense dice against ranged attacks, which is, yeah, if you want to kill this one, you're going to have to get up close and personal. And then 5 defense on the melee side. Her expertise is okay on ranged.
It's great. What are you talking about? It's equal dice. Actually, it's positive dice. 1 expertise gives you 2.
1 expertise gives you 2.
3 gives you 3. 4 gives you 4. It's great.
Yeah, it's okay.
I feel like you've been spoiled by playing Kalani for too long. You're like,
do you know what I think? I think that's what it is. Yeah. And then she's obviously got the extra. She gets some extra damage there on her conjured blade. Her defense is identical on both sides. It's pretty good. Bearing in mind she's rolling 7 at range. So yeah, I mean 4 expertise. Feels really nice. 2 blocks and then a crit to a strike and a strike to a fail. Not the best that we've seen, but I still think it's pretty darn good with what she's got. But what she's very good at is murdering. She only has, I think it's 6 options on her tree. Maximum damage of, what is that? 10, I want to say.
5 long, not 6.
It's 5.
5 long, sorry, yeah. 5 long. But 10 damage, max output at range. It's going to be 11 damage max output at melee. But obviously, the range attacks are significantly better. Couple of shoves, which is really nice. Exposed, pin, and then the reposition. I find the reposition to be very, very useful. Because I don't know about you guys, but obviously with the synergy with the Night Sisters, which we'll get into, I'm often getting full tree with her. Like, it's usually 4 or 5 results that I get with her. Like, just because of the lack of expertise that your opponent has. Thoughts on the tree, her damage output, what she can do on the Great Mother side?
I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything I'd change. Well, I'd like to change the exposed for a strain. Because I think they have way too much access to exposed, and it becomes a bit, oh, you're exposed. I'd rather it be a strain or a disarm. My biggest issue with Great Mother is the fact that she's in a range 4.
Yeah, range 4 feels like the big... I get, like, the range
Rex
4
and his
tool...
pistols, range 5, but...
Yeah, like, I know the range 4 tool has the Force Lightning on it, but equally, yeah, like, especially with how they've, like, formatted her card and, like, her identity and all of this stuff, like, feels like range 5 wouldn't have been unreasonable, right?
No, I agree. I do think range 5 would have been perfectly fine. I gather it's to keep it in line with, the Force Lightning characters, isn't it? Because
You know, but she's better than them plebs.
Because it's magics, isn't it, Ron? It's magics. Let's take a look at the other side of the card then that you never use. Wrath. So she drops from 7/7 down to 6/5. She goes up from 6/5 up to 7/6. I say you never use it. Like, if you're in melee with a few people, you might want to, but her expertise on Conjure Blade is okay. You know, 1 expertise giving you a damage and a crit, 3 for 2 and a damage, so kind of scales up quite nicely. Her damage output is nowhere near what she can do.
It's weird that the one called Wrath heals her.
Yeah, I know, right? And does less damage.
Yeah.
The big thing in this tree is you get manipulating hand for free.
If you get the 3 successes. Yeah.
That's
so,
the big thing. It's the whole point of it.
Yeah. So, and I think, again, Ron, it's back to that situational thing, isn't it? Of, if I make this play work, I'm going to be able to win this struggle. Flip her over, do the attack, hope you get it for free, do all your movement things, and then, yeah, be on your merry way. Because, yeah, I do like it when 2 costs... Does every 2-cost ability have a character have access via a tree? I'm trying to think if there is one.
Anakin.
Obi-2 doesn't have one.
Oh, of course, Anakin. Anakin's kind of makes sense because that would be
Imagine.
utter bullshit. Like,
I've rolled 4 results on Gem So. I'll hit you again for free and do another 8 damage.
Yeah, no, that would have been utter bullshit. But yeah, guys, overall thoughts on Mother Talzin. Obviously, Ron, we've played a lot. We're going to be playing another game actually, not long after the Wanga. We've got our our event game this week. But Ron, overall thoughts on her? Where does she in the leaders of the game right now? Where does she rank for you against the others? Obviously, with Obi-Wan being at the top, and I don't know who your bottom is at the moment.
Luminara. It's always Luminara.
Yeah, she's probably bottom quarter. She's better than Luminara, but I don't think she's that much better than any of the others, which is quite sad.
I really like her.
I like her. I think
really
she's
like
fucking
her.
great. You know what I mean? She is my strange. Right. She's the only she's the only person that can do magic. So
she's obviously getting played.
Yeah.
Quinn, what about you?
I think she's also in my bottom quarter. Like she's better than Luminara in my estimation. I really don't like Luminara. We've documented this on the channel.
We have. It is heavily documented.
Like she's probably on par for me with like Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think that's whereabouts. It's whereabouts. She sits like she's good in her sort of action. You're not going to really see her outside of it, I don't think.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I think she's middle of the run in terms of actual how good she is in the game. She's probably my favourite to play at the moment. Like, I'm just absolutely loving her. Her play, the play style that I play with her is just very much how I like to play games. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why I have no real affinity to them, to the Dath. Like, it's not, even though I made the board and stuff, like, I don't, it's not like they're my favourite thing from Clone Wars or anything like that, but...
I do, I love them.
I love them. Is it because they're magic people, Ron?
Yeah.
and
there's no hairy people out yet.
This is true.
Ron's just really into goths. This is what we've learned.
Yeah. Guys, am I the only one who likes Luminara?
Yes. No one else in the world likes Luminara.
Dave, I have tried. I have tried many games with her.
You
and
even
she is
vehemently defended her on numerous occasions, saying she was great. You've learned.
I don't know if I ever used the word great.
Oh, I know you have. Several times, in fact.
But yeah, she is most definitely bottom of the... For me, it's between her and Ahsoka.
I mean, if you never roll dice with a primary, she's great. If you're actually doing
want to
something in
move.
the game, yeah, if you actually want your primary to do something in the game actively, yeah, no, she is not the one.
And it really annoys me. I always feel like I always forget which way around her identity is, and whichever one I want is never the one that's happened. Like,
I would really like a dash. Oh,
heal 3. Cool. So let's move on to the brand new secondary. We did go through this last night on the channel, but we will go through it here for completion, and obviously because Ron wasn't there as well. But Savage Opress, the only secondary unit for Dathomir. Costs 4,
we
obviously.
have 3 primaries.
Yeah, I know, right? And 1 secondary.
I think we might get like Bounty Hunter Ventress as a secondary at some point.
Or Apprentice
Yeah, you could
Maul,
do.
either will do.
Yeah, I want me some episode 1 Maul. Dum 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 dum.
I want
Anyway.
Spider Legs Maul.
Spider Legs Maul would be cool. Yeah. So Savage Opress, costs 4. His first ability, Dark Fury, costs 2 force. Choose an enemy unit within 2, roll 5 attack dice. The chosen unit suffers damage for each crit and strike result in the roll. If the chosen unit is a force user and suffers damage from this ability, that unit gains expose. This again doesn't feel like something I'm paying a lot for. It's something that I'll happily trigger off my tree.
If you really need someone to die, you'll pay for it just for the expose. But,
Exactly. Yeah.
Or if someone's
exactly
on 1
that.
or 2 wounds and you're in range,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, and
go,
what's
boop, dead.
Yeah, and what's nice is that if you trigger this off your tree, a bit like what you get with Ventress and the push and things, it doesn't have to target the same character that you've just attacked and that sort of thing. So
having
yeah.
a single character unit that can affect multiple units on their activation, I always like.
Well, it's good action economy, or good activation economy. 'cause
It's good action economy, activation economy, and also just you can get more of a swing turn out of them. Much like I said with Mother doing the manipulating hand, killing someone, moving on to a point.
Yeah.
Savage can do similar things as can Ventress.
No, absolutely. And then the expose at the end there is nice, especially against like the Dooku's of the world. Like Dooku feels real bad when he has an expose on him.
He just goes 3/4. No.
Not always. Next up,
This is what I play
Furious.
him.
Yeah. Next up, Furious Rush. It's going to cost 1 force. Each character in this unit may dash. If this unit is injured, each character in this unit may instead advance. Obviously, that advance drops down to a dash if you are engaged. But we spoke about this last night, Quinn, didn't we? And the fact that it's the first time we have seen an active ability that costs force. As the force cost of that increases, the actual ability itself gets better. It feels a little bit thematic, right? It feels like he's getting angrier, so he's really running towards you now.
You would like him when he's angry.
I don't know. He went down like a sack of shit last night, I think.
I mean, both of them did, yeah.
Yeah, they did. Ron, we've already spoke about this one. What's your thoughts, I suppose, on the ability, a power for a dash, but the fact that it turns into a full advance once he's taken that first wound or that first injured token?
I think if he didn't have Unwhittling Brute, he would be incredibly slow. Paying a force for a dash is real bad. Paying 2 force for an advance is real bad. It's Luminara territory.
Yeah, I mean, he still managed to keep Luminara in the top spot for worst mobility ability in the game.
Yeah. Not by a lot, though, but yeah.
It's enough.
I do like it. I would have preferred it if it didn't cost anything. Because, that's what Savage is known for. And then, obviously, the cost goes up the more injured.
Yeah, it goes from 0 to 1 to yeah.
Yeah, so, cost nothing for a dash, cost 1 for an advance, cost 2 for a reposition.
Well, oh no, he can have 2 injured tokens, of course he can. Yeah, maybe that'd have been cool. But What I like about it is the fact that they're thinking
I
about.
just like
these
to
sorts of
hoard
things.
force, right?
I just want all my force.
I need it for Dooku.
So yeah, no, I do like it. Is one of 3 innate. First one, overpowering monster. When a character in this unit makes an attack targeting a primary character, add 2 dice to the attack roll. More dice is more betterer. Like,
Yeah.
It's free as well. Like, it's nice. Pain is weakness, protection and steadfast. That's really nice on a character with 10 stamina.
I mean, not having to be on an objective for it, like Fifth Brother as well. Very nice.
Yeah, it's really good, and makes you considerably tankier than what it feels like when you're reducing that damage by 1 every single attack. Because it's unlikely. In fact, there are only a handful of characters in the game who can actually take him out in 1 activation, right?
I mean, Anakin's still going to cut him in half.
Well, Anakin's going to cut him in half, absolutely. But it does stack up, doesn't it, that protection? Every single attack going in does stack up. And the steadfast just meaning that he's that much harder to push off points. And then lastly, we're on, as you mentioned, Unwitting Brute. When an allied Separatist Alliance primary unit or an allied Dathomirian primary unit starts its activation within 3 of this unit, 1 character in this unit may dash. This is really nice. And as you say, Ron, it makes up for the Ferocious Rush. And paired with Dooku, as Quinn we played last night, you get to activate Dooku, move Savage, move Savage
again.
Like, it's really, really nice. Really, really nice indeed. And then, as you can probably imagine, because of that Separatist Alliance primary unit, he has not only the Dathomirian, the Force User, and the Sith tags, but he also has Separatist Alliance as well, which I think is nice, right? It gives other characters more options when it comes to secondaries that they can take. And he did fight for Maul. He didn't know that he was going to try and murder him, but, he did, for all intents and purposes, he thought... Sorry, not Maul, Dooku.
So when did Maul murder Savage?
No.
The goat killed him.
You what, sorry?
The goat killed him.
Yeah. Savage is currently holding his stomach like he's had too much curry. He does a little bit, doesn't he?
I mean, it's almost like that's where he gets stabbed and killed from.
Yeah, indeed. Let's check out his card then, guys. So, Unhinged Rage.
Unhinged?
Unchained Rage, sorry, I do apologise. Only 4 defense dice, which is sad. 7 melee, obviously 0 ranged. For a support unit, his offensive expertise is pretty good. He's a fucking glass cannon, though, isn't he? Like,
if you sneeze it, dies.
Yeah, I really wish he could throw his lightsaber. Like, he does literally decapitate the entire ruling council of the Black Sun in a single saber throw.
He does. It would have been... It could have only have been, like, 4 dice or something.
Like, 4 or 5 dice, like, I would have been okay with that, just to give him the option. I think it would have been cool.
Unhinged Raged is better, to be fair. Thank you, Remy. But yeah, damage output is pretty high, right? He's got 8 damage on his tree, then 1 from his expertise, so giving him 9 in total, but he's then got the potential for an additional 5 damage if he triggers his active ability. Remember, guys, you can only use your active abilities once, even if you trigger them from a tree. So if you do it at the beginning of your turn, and then you trigger it again, you've lost the ability to do it for free. But yeah, overall thoughts, guys? Like, he is just murder, right?
I think this is the reason you buy the box. To be fair, I don't think you'll see many people actually playing Talzin and the Night Sisters. Obviously, me and you will be. But
I'll be playing plenty of Savage.
I think a good 80% of people will buy this box for him, just the same as 80% of people brought the Luminara box for the Commandos.
And
Yeah.
people buying the Inquisitor box for Fifth Brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
it gives. Go on, sorry, you go first. Quinn.
I'm just surprised that Savage doesn't have any shoves on his combat tree. It feels like that's something he does a lot in the show.
The guy's
Like,
a
he
monster.
knocks people about all over the place, but instead he's doing conditions.
They should get rid of them 3 conditions and give him
And
3
just do
shoves.
Yeah, just bam, mega shoves.
So, Remy, just to clarify, you don't get the 2 actives. So the way that an active ability works is you can only use an active ability once per turn.
I
So
think
if
it's
we
more for the option that he's saying.
Oh right,
You
okay.
can't get the dash or the advance off of.
Oh
the
yeah.
combat tree.
So you can use each of them twice. So absolutely, yeah.
Each of them twice.
Sorry, you can use each of them once.
There we
Sorry,
go.
that's what I was going to say. His defense is shocking, right? That jump on 2, 1 block and a jump is.
I rolled that jump so many times last night, and I was exposed every time.
Yeah.
I did not roll a single natural block with Savage. It was very sad.
I don't think you did. What I like about him, I know we are talking about Dathomir here, but what I do like for him about Seps is it gives a different play style, because Seps have been very, very droid heavy up until now, and it's nice that we are starting to see other parts of the Separatist Alliance sort of go in. It feels like you don't have to take all, you could easily take, Savage and Django if you wanted, or, let's be honest, Magna Guards with, following Savage around is not a bad thing with their bodyguard ability and things like that. So yeah, I think it's really nice, and I do like that he is part of the Seps as well.
I feel like there was a bit of sting in your voice when you mentioned the Magna Guard.
Yes, there was. Go back and watch the video last night, guys. Wankers! And then to round it out, let's talk about my favourite support units in the game, the Night Sister Acolytes.
Night Sister.
These 2 are awesome. Absolutely awesome. So, obviously costing 4, as they do. There are a support unit, and there are 2 of them there are 2 characters in the unit. First active ability is Acrobatic Advance. For 1 force, each character in this unit may jump. If any characters jump, this unit gains hunker. Fuck you, clones.
Defensive maneuver on roids, man. Jeez.
Like, is this the best, I'm going to call it an opener, if you like, of any support unit in the game?
Probably.
I don't know. Commandos do have scale.
Yeah, I mean, also the Inquisitor supports have jump.
Yeah.
But they don't get a hunker.
You're right. They
And the
don't.
hunker's important for these guys because it
Very.
does scale into them as well, doesn't it? Talzin has nice Dathomirian combo and a reaction on your units being wounded. Haven't tried her yet, but she looks good. Well, Remy, if you want to watch a game, once we've finished up here, probably about 8 o'clock, me and Juan will be playing our game, and at least one of us, I imagine, will be taking some Dathomir.
It's going to be so funny when you both take slaps.
I know. So yeah, I really like that. Reactive ability, coordinated fire. We've seen this one before. We've seen it on the clones. It works in exactly the same way, but this time it is for Dathomirian units, but it's an expose. I think
exposed is pretty good.
I think this ability is one of the things that increases the damage output of Dathomirians across the board so much.
I think this is one of the things that makes Dathomir as a faction viable. Like,
I think it's awesome. Absolutely
because
awesome.
it ain't Mother.
Oh, I think she's good. I think she's
She's good when she's getting a free exposed on everyone she shoots.
She is, yeah.
That's
It is a
nothing
combat.
to do with her though.
No, it is a combat action though, isn't it? So it doesn't work on her identity ability or anything like that. So it has to be a combat action that is made. And normal rules apply. You can only use one reactive ability per triggering an event, and you can only use one reactive ability per turn. Not that we have other support units for Dathomir yet at the moment, but that's the way that it works. Yeah, Ron, shoving out an exposed is not too bad, is it?
It's pretty good.
Look at his little eyes. Look at his little eyes light up.
I don't know. I just think there's too much exposed, man. I need some strain. Like, Maul has exposed, Savage has exposed, these have exposed. I don't know. I just think it's a little bit overkill. Obviously, I wouldn't get rid of the exposed on these. I would get rid of the exposed on one of the others.
You're not getting rid of it on
given the
Maul.
choice.
You can have it on Savage. Stay away from my Maul.
But it is really good.
Yeah,
or
it
you
is
could
really
have
nice.
Pin. Oh, thanks, 501st.
Pin or have a damage.
I wish 501st did pin.
Yeah, 501st wish they did pin. Next up then is Darkness and Shadows, and this is what we're talking about with the Hunker tokens. While this unit has one or more Hunker While this unit has one or more Hunker tokens, characters in this unit add 1 die to their defense roll against ranged attacks. So effectively, with a single Hunker token, if they are on terrain, and as long as somebody's not shooting down, they're going to be getting an extra 3 defense dice in total. 1 from Hunker, 1 from cover, 1 from Darkness and Shadows, which is pretty nice for a support unit. And we'll show you how many dice that is in a second. And then lastly, Night Hunter. When a character in this unit makes a ranged attack as part of a combat action, if it targets an enemy character that is engaged with another allied Dathomirian character, it adds 2 dice to the attack roll. And now we've got Opress in there as well. That's a lot more Dathomirians to be able to shoot into combat with. And yeah, again, adding 2 dice. 2 dice in this game is quite a lot, guys, isn't it? When we talk about most characters are tapping out at 9-10 dice at the most. Like, so 2 is a hell of a lot.
It
and then they add
that they're almost never going to take a focus action, I don't think.
It depends. I think it's situational, isn't it?
With the length of their tree, I don't think it's like a big requirement. But yeah, I think it's rare.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Ron, thoughts on it?
I love them. I think they're great. Yeah, I can't really say much more than that, other than I would really like a Dathomirian secondary. Merrin would be great, MG, if you know.
If you're listening.
Just anything from Fallen Order would be appreciated, please. Please.
That would be good. Yeah, that would be good. Cool. And they are only 7 stamina. That is the one thing that lets these guys down. Only having 7 stamina.
They have to be.
Yeah, I mean, again, glass cannons, right? They're ranged characters, they're glass cannons. Get up close and personal, you're going to be able to take them down. Let's have a quick look then at Shadow Hunters, which is their their stance card. Range 5, which is real nice. Range 4 would have felt horrible on these guys. 6-5 on ranged, 5-4 on melee. So obviously these guys want to be way back. Their expertise is okay. 1 for 1, 2 for 2 and 3, and then you get the extra crit on there when you get 4 or more. Even on Blade, it's not too bad. You're getting some extra damage. But they can output, what are we looking there? 2, 4...
7.
Yeah.
7 at range, 8 to melee.
7 with a pin, a shove, an expose, a jump, a heal in there if you need it.
Well, not if they're doing that much damage.
No, but as in, with the options that you've got. So only 5 options, so I get your point, Quinn. If you're going from 6 up to 8, you maybe don't want to focus. But if you've got nothing else to do, then maybe you do want to
Also
focus.
depends who you're shooting.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, overall thoughts, guys, on the Night Sister Acolytes.
I think their defensive expertise makes a lot of sense with that Darkness and Shadow. They're rolling 8
Yes.
dice naturally. There's a reason they're only allowed 1 off their
Oh,
expertise.
let's talk about that then. Yes. So, yeah, they go up to 8 dice with 1 hunger token potentially. Is just
Which is an
crazy.
average of 4 blocks, which is
Yeah.
You're not sending you're not sending supports after these guys.
No,
You just do what Dooku did in Clone Wars and just send Grievous in to murder them all.
just send Grievous in.
It's very
Yeah, I mean,
effective, I can assure you.
Grievous is pretty good at murdering most things anyway.
I mean,
isn't
Grievous
he?
kills
So-
them on 3 successes.
At the minute, Grievous is murdering me because these legs are fucking horrid.
Cool. Yeah. Let's just talk then, Ron. General thoughts on Dathomir, where they're at. Obviously, we've got Asajj and we've got Maul in the mix in there as well, so you can mix it up. You don't have to take, you don't have to take Talzin with them. You've got options. You can swap her out for any of the other 2 leaders. What's your thoughts on them? And then let's maybe talk a little bit. Well, in fact, I'll get your thoughts first on Dathomir as a sort of general. Let's call them a faction because there we go. And what they do and what you think of them.
Well, if you break up the other factions, so you have Galactic Republic, Battle Droid, Dathomir.
Battle Droid, Separatist Alliance, mate. Droid.
Well, no, because Grievous isn't a Battle Droid, is he, dickhead?
Exactly, so you can't say Battle Droid.
He should be Cyborg.
He
And
should
then
be Cyborg.
Mandalorians, I still think Dathomir is probably at the bottom.
They just don't
unfortunately.
have as much content, do they?
But, they don't really have as much. Like, I don't know, man. Like, there's something special about the Mandalorians. The fact that they have no primary and they are so impactful is a big thing. I think the Dathomir is good. I just don't think they hold a candle to clones or droids, which is sad, but it's what the Clone Wars was built on.
Yeah, to be fair, I think there is still scope for expansion with Dathomir as a
100%.
faction. Merrin, Taron Malakos, some Night Brothers, Dharma, who's the really old Baba Yaga looking one with the zombie Night Sisters. They might get sprinkled in as releases here and there, throughout the course of the game. It might just be randomly one month. Oh, by the way, just Dathomir gets a cool new toy.
Yeah.
Just it'll happen, I imagine.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some Night Brothers, and basically, the Night Sisters are essentially the equivalent to the Clan Kreese Mandalorians, and then you kind of want the equivalent, don't you, with the the Mandalorian Super Commandos being the up close and personal ones, which I think would be the
you
Night
want the
Brothers.
Night Brothers to be 3-cost plebs, because that's what
Three
they are.
cost-
That's what they are in Night Sister society.
4 of them on a base because they're worth less than B1s.
Yeah, exactly. They're completely worthless.
Put them as a 3-cost, Bounty Hunter Ventress as a 5, or Apprentice Maul as a 5.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think so. We need more options for Dathomir, Mandalorian. Guys, the one thing I will say is we are going to get more options for everything. Just because of the way that the game is, clones were always going to be the heaviest of the initial factions because we all want the Jedis, and all the Jedis are going to come with clones. That's just the way that it's. That's just the way that it is.
You're saying that getting clones is a bad thing.
You sheep want Jedi.
I don't want Jedi.
I want
I
fairies.
actively want clones. I don't care about Jedi. Give me clones.
I want Ewoks and Wookiees.
I want Fives and Echo as the first 5-cost support.
I want to be able to play a strike team without a single lightsaber or force user.
How
I say
close
that
are you at the moment?
Aura sings a force user, which is quite sad.
She is a force user, yes.
But yeah, no lightsabers, I'll be happy.
0 lightsabers. Ron, you played Wookiees, didn't you, in Legion for a long time?
I did, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the release of the Ewoks this week almost tempted me to go and buy them.
Oh, really?
But you have to take C-3PO as a commander, and it completely shut it down for me.
Most useless character in all of Star Wars.
Wookiees and Jabbas and Yoda. I want a Jabba with a Rancor. That's absolutely what
I want Jabba with a 5-cost Boba Fett and like another bounty hunter, and his rule is that he can take 2 secondaries instead of a support.
I don't know if anyone played the Old Republic MMO, but if you played a bounty hunter, you had a companion, which was a Jawa, and his name was Blizz. And he used to walk around with a rocket launcher. Great. So cool.
So, with Jabba, I'd like to see Jabba being like 7, and he brings a 5-cost Rancor, or even a 6-cost Rancor, and Bib Fortuna. And it's just, and Bib's the secondary, and the Rancor's the support, but he's on a 60mm base or 65mm base, doesn't give a shit about your elevation, swipes people off buildings and all sorts. I think that would be cool. I'd like to see Dash Rendar and Libo, should be packaged with Leia and Chewie, Shadows of the Empire style. Then you can have, is it pronounced Zizor?
Zizor, I think, is like the Prince of the Black Sun.
I think, yeah. And Guri in another pack. Cad Bane in the next Bounty Hunter pack. Absolutely, I'm going to be loving. Yep. Ron, I imagine you're going to be all over that.
I certainly am. Cad Bane.
There's only one other Bounty Hunter that could even begin to rival Cad Bane. And he still doesn't come close. No, his name's Embo, mate. He's way cool.
No.
He's got a hat and a dog. What more do you want?
No.
Boba Fett doesn't have a dog.
Black Chrysanthemum.
Black Chrysanthemum.
Black Chrysanthemum would be really cool. Really cool. But yeah, there we go, guys. That is our... Oh, actually, no. Sorry. So right now, Ron, so we obviously know what, potential squad number 1 is, right? It's the 3 characters we've just gone through. Yep. What are you looking at for your second squad when you're building your strike team?
Well, you've got to take Maul or Ventress, purely for the Dathomirian synergy. I feel like Maul has the slight edge over the fact that he doesn't actually have to spend any force. So that means you can get more manipulating hands off, more jumps and hunkers, etc. Because there is no other support or secondary that's Dathomirian, I tend to go for stuff that's just good on their own. So at the minute I'm in between Django and Gar Saxon for my secondary choice, and then my support pick is Super Commandos. Mandalorian Super Commandos.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to take that second Dathomirian leader. Completely agree. And I also agree that Maul edges it out. I think Maul is probably a better... Sorry, primary, not secondary. I think Maul's probably a better primary overall than Ventress. But it's his lack of... he contributes to the force pool and uses nothing, which, as we've seen, there's a lot of abilities there, even between those 3 characters, right, that you want to try and get off with some of them. So I think, yeah, he's my go-to. And right now, I am running Gar. I think he's really good. And the Super Mandalorian Commandos. I like the Commandos because the Shadow Hunters are obviously there on the back points. They're not getting up close and personal, whereas the Commandos, and to be fair, to some extent, Gar himself can get in the mix with it as well. But Mandalorian Super Commandos are really good at up close and personal. And yeah, I think for me, that's what works. You
can also do some funky stuff with the Super Commandos and manipulating hand.
You can indeed. So manipulating hand, you dash them out of engagement with a Mandalorian Super Commando, and whether they are wounded or injured or what, the character takes 2 damage, I want to say it is.
2 damage.
Which, again, talking about those big plays that you can make that become big swing turns, that can be a huge swing turn. If you've got 1 character and 1 Mandalorian on a point, and Talzin can just move them off and then get rid of the do some extra damage on there as well. It can be really, really nice. Does Slip Away make Ventress viable for that list? I don't think Slip Away makes Ventress viable
Full stop.
on any list.
Force
Like
push, double jump makes Ventress viable. In
Yeah,
in anything. I've played more Ventress than probably anyone in Shatterpoint. And the amount of times that I've just won a struggle or won the game off a force push is incredible.
Yeah. It's the fact that you can... It's very, very difficult in this game to displace two characters off a point. As long as those two characters are not in the same... Obviously, if they're in the same unit, then it's fine. But two characters from separate units on a single point is really, really difficult to displace. So you can do all the damage in the world to one of them, but if there's only you and somebody else left, it doesn't matter because they're still going to retain that point if they already had it. So yeah, I do agree when I think her control abilities are more what... And she does get about a bit as well, right? She can get from one side of the board to the other very, very easily. Slip Away is nice. Like, it's a nice little added extra. But, yeah. Be interesting on the timing of Slip Away and Night Hunter. Because Slip Away happens before the attack is made, right? Or is it after the attack is made?
Like it's when they're targeted, isn't it? Let me have a look. Sarge Ventress.
Actually, this is not a bad little talking point.
It's targets, so
yeah,
she would move, and then you wouldn't get the dice if you were out of engagement.
Yeah. So what would happen there, Sean, is because of the order of things, you would not get any benefit. I mean, she'd get to Slip Away, but you wouldn't trigger the Night Hunter on the Night Sister.
Essentially, that means you've got another target that you really want to shoot with the extra dice that doesn't have a Dathomirian engaged.
Yeah.
You send one of your attacks into someone that is engaged with Ventress. She runs over and engages the other person, and then you're getting that that bigger attack.
Yeah, potentially, it's a thing.
And yes, you can 100% use Ventress instead of Mother.
Would you? Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you could run Ventress and Maul easily in this list. There's an argument to say that actually Ventress is the better of the two.
Probably better, yeah.
Because
she knows no magic.
Well, she doesn't do magic, but whereas the Night Sisters are on the back point, Ventress is going to be up close and personal. And in this game, you need to get up close and personal because you need to take points. You need to take, objectives. And, to do that, you need to be on them. And generally, especially when you get to the second struggle and the third struggle, you're very rarely on an objective by yourself, right? Somebody at some point is going to come over and try and take that off you. So yeah, actually, arguably, Ron, I would agree there. The better setup is both Maul and obviously then Asajj running the two lists. So
and then you could take Magna Guard. Oh,
Magna Guard to protect Opress and Maul.
Protect everyone. Magna Guard, best models in the game.
Throw a bit of Django in there as well. I do like Django. More control is more betterer. Similar story, right? To what I suppose what Maul can do and what Ventress can do is that he can take one character out and then move the other one off the point in a single action, which is really, really good. Guys, we're going to leave it there for this part of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. But before we do disappear, we do have our weekly painting competition. So Ron, the category was picked by you, wasn't it, last week?
Quinn.
By me.
Oh, Quinn, sorry. Apologies, Quinn.
Literally had this conversation an hour ago.
Look,
Who's
the collaborator?
Yeah, it was the collaborator that did it. I chose Count Dooku.
You did choose Count Dooku. And look, they say, I think it was Meatloaf that sang 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Last week, or last show, I didn't have my Maul painted in time. I still don't have my mall painted in time for this one, but I did have a somewhat mostly-ish, partially painted Dooku to show, whereas Quinn only had a head. So
All you need.
All you need. So first up is Ron's submission. Obviously not submission. He doesn't get to submit them. But this is Ron's. Dooku. Quinn, do you want to critique it? You can't punch him because he can't reach you.
I really hate all the colours on it. I really hate the basing. I think the basing's awful. Just generally. Also, the background looks horrible. Must be a horrible place to live. Done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Cool. And then this is my entry. So I went with Force Lightning. Ron, you didn't. Quinn, I'm assuming because of Force Lightning alone and nothing to do with painting ability, Ron wins.
I mean, yeah, Force Lightning alone and also painting ability.
That's what I mean.
Like,
so, guys, we are going
imagine putting Force Lightning on Dooku.
I know. We are trying to do this, so we are trying to show you ours as well. It's something that we never did for MCP, but when we set you guys the challenge, we are trying to paint those characters up ourselves. I obviously still need to finish Dooku off. He's not.
This is the first time I've seen your Dooku. He's got a very nice Games Workshop 1980s base.
The base isn't finished.
I'm surprised that rim's not goblin green.
To be fair, yeah.
It isn't finished yet, Ron.
He's not done the goblin green yet, Ron. God.
I need to. That black is just it's just the first layer. Do you remember getting thick goblin green so you could do it in one coat because your rim was black?
Yeah. Very sad times.
Do you not remember that, Quinn? Is that before your time?
Well before my time.
Mate, so it used to be...
I started playing GW games in 2010.
Mate, honestly, it used to be either usually square bases, because I played proper Games Workshop, not that space shite. And it would be a little bit of sand sprinkled on the base, and then the whole base.
To be fair, the fact you had any sand on there is a step above what I've seen from most people. They typically just painted the actual base goblin green as
just
well.
Green.
Not
And
just
then
the rim.
most of them wouldn't even fill in the gaps.
Yeah, they wouldn't even fill the gaps of the tabs.
Yeah, so because you didn't have contact points, did you, on the feet? You had a little strip on the bottom, and then there was a hole in the base. You'd have these two gaps either side. So
yeah, the closest I get to goblin green is I remember when they changed the paint range over to the one it currently is. When they got rid of Devlin Mud and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Got rid of Bad Black, all that. I remember that.
Me and Rich are on the paint scheme before that one.
Mate, we are...
Our black used to be called Chaos Black.
Chaos Black. Absolutely.
No, I think Chaos Black was still the black. Bad Black was the null noil equivalent back in day.
It's missing the big see-through slit in the centre. It is indeed sneaky shit.
Also, more skulls.
More skulls. Yeah, I've got all my little scattery bits that are going to go on all my bases, yep. And then the winner for this week, picked by Quinn, is Balefire Storm. Quinn, talk us through why you picked this Dooku.
Well, for one, there's some nice OSL on it. I've seen some Dookus that are very, very heavy on the OSL. This is a bit more subtle, but it's definitely got that sort of two-toned look to it of blue from the lightning, red from the saber. The face is good. I really like the beard on it. I think the beard is very reminiscent of Clone Wars Dooku with the very sort of bold lines between the segments.
Yeah. No, it's really good. I liked this one. I like the OSL on the base as well. I'm always... OSL is one of those funny things, isn't it? Where there is a point where you need to stop. And I think he's just got there of stop. I think one or two more glazes over, and it'd have taken it too far.
I've seen a few Obi-Wans that basically just, 3/4 of his head is blue. because
Well, they
of how
get
heavy they've gone
the,
on
you know, the
other
army
cells.
paint are dipping shades. They get one of them in blue and just dip them in from the side, and then that's it. I like also how it's red on one side, it's blue on the other, but then there's a point where the red and the blue meet, and it goes to be
there's
more
bit
of like a
the purple
purpley
mingle, yeah.
type colour. So, yeah, no, I did like this one. Ron, thoughts on this one from Bale Firestorm?
Yeah, it looks great. Looks how Dooku's meant to look. Very impressed with the OSL. It's not something I do myself because I always tend to fuck it up.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But yeah, I think it looks
same.
really good. I really like the base actually with the like the lightsaber scorch marks.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, it is quite. I've seen a lot of people do that, you know, sort of, because I gather they could be blast fires, they could be lightsabers, that sort of thing. I do like. I think for me, I went with, and it looks like you guys have done the same as well with all of your minis. Is I just didn't want my bases looking like every. I don't know. You paint
I
them
think
different.
every single one of us learned our lesson from MCP.
Yes, 100%.
I will never paint a base again.
No. And the fact that my next board is going to be, if anyone's played Fallen Order, is going to be the Empire base on Kashyyyk. So it's going to be forest floor, use some of the buildings from the core box, but then scratch build some big fuck off trees and have all sorts going on with them. So that's what mine have been designed for. Cool. Okay, so it's my turn, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You're not prepared for this at all, have you?
I'm just looking.
I can't wait for him to turn around and be like Darth Vader, which, you know, very few people own.
No. We're gonna go core box. We're gonna go core box. I want to see your Ahsoka Tano's. Now, which Ahsoka Tano is completely up to you. If you have the Padawan version, you can submit the Padawan version. If you don't have the Padawan version, or you don't want to submit the Padawan version, it's not mandatory. So either of the Ahsoka Tano's is going to be the challenge over the next 2 weeks. I have one painted. I don't have the other one painted. I'll try and get both done. She's feeling very much like Ant-Man for me at the moment, where I look at him and go, you're never getting painted. but yeah, so that's it for this week. It's going to be Ahsoka Tano, whichever one you wish. Ron, Quinn, anything else to add to the lovely people at home?
Rich smells like dog cheese.
Dog eggs.
True.
No, dog cheese. They went to the
From
effort
what
of
I've,
making cheese.
dogs just eat your cheese. Like every time I'm at Laura's mum's house, and like I go get cheese, like Stitch, who's a big black Labrador, is just there, and he's like looking at me, going, "You do know that, like, I like cheese. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of
cheese tax, mate. You know about the cheese tax.
You gotta pay the cheese tax." Ron, do your dog must eat cheese?
No
Plural.
way. I don't give my dog crap.
Look at him. Look at him. Great show, guys. Thank you very much, Eric. I'm far behind you guys, but Talzin's Wrath stance is sneaky good. If she gets just 4 successes, she can do 9 damage. She puts a strain on them before resolving Manipulating Hand. There you go. There you go. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Quick reminder that the TTS Shatterpoint League Season 1 Episode 1 is going to be live from the 7th of August. I did a video earlier this week. You can go see all the details as to how you need to sign up. Me, Ron and Quinn are already in there, but there's going to be 4 different brackets. If you've played in the MCP League, it'll work a little bit similar in the idea that it's a game, a single game a week. But the overall format is a little bit different. I actually prefer the format, I think, to the one that Diz is doing for this one. So if you want to be part of that, it's completely free to join. All you need is TTS and obviously a PC to be able to run TTS on. You can't just buy TTS. And could you imagine like getting on a floppy disk or a CD and being like, I've got everything I need?
Isn't that a thing? Aren't like all floppy disks now becoming like completely just useless because the magnetic tape on them is wearing off?
It's gone, yeah. I mean, they're pretty much useless anyway. I think I can store...
But, I mean, I guess you could download TTS onto a USB and then go to your local library, install it every time you go to play, and then play on there.
Ah!
Local library, and he calls us boomers.
I know, right? Fucking
Local
hell.
library.
Our libraries have been all closed down.
None of us can fucking read, that's why.
I know. No, we've all finished reading, Ron. Reading, mate, completed it. Guys, thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate it. If you could leave a like, share, subscribe. If you want to support us on Patreon, there'll be details in the bottom below. And a big shout out to Longshanks, the sponsor. Sorry, a big shout out to Longshanks. A big shout out to
Longshanks.
Leodis. To Leodis Games, the sponsor of the channel. Thank you to those guys for just making it that bit easier for us to play. And actually, sorry, before I do go, guys, 2 events I want to mention. 29th of July, I'm going to be down at the Honest Wargamers event down in Nottingham. So if you want to turn up and have a game, I'll be around. And then also on the 13th of August, we are going to be doing our first proper Shatterpoint event over at Leodis. Head over to Leodis Games and you can find the details on there. And that is it, guys. Take care, stay safe, and may the Force be with you.
Wanga.
D wanna